Welcome to the Wellness in Every Season podcast, where we embark on a transformative journey towards achieving total wellness, even in the midst of overwhelming moments. I'm your host, Autumn Carter, and I'm thrilled to have you here. This podcast is a sanctuary for all mothers out there, and we extend a warm invitation to anyone seeking guidance and inspiration. We believe in fostering an inclusive community where we learn and grow together, supporting each other during life's challenging transitions. Join us as we step out of survival mode and discover the path to thriving, embracing wellness in every season of motherhood. From sleepless nights to new beginnings, we'll explore practical strategies, share heartfelt stories, and uncover the transformative power of self-care and self-love. Together, we'll unlock the wisdom, strength, and resilience within ourselves, reminding one another that we're never alone on this beautiful yet demanding journey. It's time to prioritize your well-being and reclaim your joy, one season at a time. Hello and welcome. This is episode 44, and today I have with me Brenna Potter. She is passionate about guiding young women through a transformative journey of self-discovery as a certified life coach, and she focuses on personal growth and topics such as self-love and self-compassion. She specializes in empowering her clients to become the best version of themselves while creating a life they love. As the proud owner of Coaching to Confidence, that's such a great name, P.S., LLC, Brenna is dedicated to empowering young women as they navigate life's challenges and embrace personal growth, all while gaining confidence in the process. Her compassionate and empowering approach enables young women to discover their authentic selves, set their goals, and take action to create and live a life they love. Okay, that was a lot, and it was good. Young women, what age range is that?
First of all, thank you so much for having me. Anywho, young women, age range 18 and older. It could be going from high school to college into the workforce. Truly anybody 18 and older who's, I just need guidance. I need help.
Are you thinking like into 25? What is the sweet spot?
Definitely getting out of college. You're what, like 22, 23, not even 23. You're probably like 21, 22, somewhere in there and above. For me, like the business has shifted from I want to work with college age students to now that postgraduate phase, because I just came through that as a 25-year-old now businesswoman, which is so fun to say out loud. I totally get what that transition from that 22-year-old version of yourself to the now 25-year-old self. It doesn't seem like a huge age gap, but I don't think anybody prepared me, at least, for how much you learn and grow in that short time span. So I'm really shifting to focus on that specific transition of getting out of school or being early in your career. Maybe if school wasn't your thing, which is totally cool, but just helping you in that like 22 to 25, like starting to really figure out those years. And of course, we can go beyond that. I've had clients well into their 30s, 40s, 60s. It's gone all over, but the sweet spot is that like early 20s.
You talked about your why a little bit. Do you want to dig into that a little bit more? Why it's so important for you?
Yeah, I love it. There's so much to say, but it all starts for me just wanting to be the big sister I wish I had, or like the mentor that I wish I had. I waited far later in my life than I wish I would have, even though people are like, but you're so young. Still, from my own experience, I wish at 16, 17, 18, I would have been seeking out mentors of women outside of my family who could say, hey, there's another way, or be that backbone for me when I couldn't be it for myself, give me that guidance. And now that I look back on my late teens into my early 20s, I'm like, I wish there just would have been someone to tell me you're not alone. You don't have to go through this alone. Everything will be okay. It's not a race. And talk to me about things like self-love and confidence and personal growth and development. Those just weren't things I was exposed to a lot within my family and friend circles. I had to go seek it out. When I learned about all that in my college years, I was really excited. I was like, wow, you can have growth mindset and you can be really confident in yourself if you work at it, and you can learn how to love yourself and work with your mental health on the good days and the not so good days. And it just all started clicking. That's when I discovered coaching. And when I learned what a coach did, I decided there's nothing more in my life that I want to do than become a life coach and just help people through all the things that I figured out for myself in terms of taking care of yourself as a young person and into your adulthood. It's just really important to me. The emphasis on caring for yourself, or self-care, compassion for yourself is the biggest piece, because I think we struggle so much with that. And I think young people, especially as you're starting to have those feelings, you don't know how to talk about it. And so it makes it really hard to go to somebody you may trust, like a parent or guardian, and say, hey, I'm having these feelings. So for me, being somebody who can be there for younger people who are experiencing similar things to me is just everything that I could ever want in a career.
You touched on this a little bit, but I want to dig in further. What is a life coach? What does it mean to you?
Yeah. I love that. I love that it's in my own perspective too, because I think we all can spin it in our own ways. But to me, when I think of life coaching, I really think of not quite mentorship, because in my opinion and with my training, I understand the power and the knowledge lies within the client, right? To me, it is a mentorship type role, but I'm not giving you advice as much as I'm asking you questions to say, what do you think about this? And help you dig into your subconscious, into your beliefs, your values, and pull out your own answers to whatever challenges or problems that you're facing, or even just discovering your values, discovering things that you want for yourself, because sometimes you need your hand to be held to figure those things out. And I totally get that. It's somebody who asks you the questions to help you find your own answers rather than giving you advice, or say, like somebody who's a counselor, a mental health professional who is helping you learn to process emotions. We have space for that. But to me, a life coach is helping you find your own answers to the challenges that you're working through.
So well said, especially because it depends on the life coach and what their focus is on what life coaching is for them, right? Tell us more about what led you to become a life coach. Lead us on this journey.
If we dig a little deeper into it, since I gave you like the speedy nutshell version, I was about 19 in college. I was a junior. I studied business in school. I was like, what am I going to do with this degree? I don't want to just work in a 9 to 5. I don't want to be in a job that I'm unhappy with and want to change a few years later, because everybody who's been a mentor in my life up until that point said, you don't want to change jobs too early. That could look bad on your resume and those kinds of things. So I had a lot of fear of, oh my gosh, if I don't pick the right thing, I'm going to hate my life and I'm going to be stuck in it and there's no way out. I spent a lot of time doing self-discovery work and a lot of spiritual work for myself as well. And I found a connection to a higher power in a way that made sense to me. And that really supported me as I did what I call more tangible self-discovery work, in terms of what did I want to study in school? What kind of careers correlate to those topics? And that led me to working with a few spiritual coaches, actually. And the way they facilitated the kind of few sessions I did, I was like, wow, what does a coach do? Just like we were talking about, what does that mean to you? And it led me down the rabbit hole of finding the International Coaching Federation. I was like, wow, it sounds like a really cool job that these people have. You get to make an impact, make a difference in the lives of others, work with people, it can be really fulfilling. That's every checkbox I could have wanted in a career. I don't have to be miserable. Great, let me learn more. I found my certification program, and I knew at 19 that that's what I wanted to do. I knew that I wanted to go to the Life Purpose Institute to study because I just loved the way their program was outlined. But unfortunately, I'm a class of 2020 graduate. So COVID hit, everything got scary for the whole world. We all went through it. And I decided to take a big girl job for safety. I worked in human resources for a few years. And my favorite part of that actually ended up being coaching leadership, people in leadership, coaching employees, mediating discussions, everything that was super hands-on with people and helping them with emotions and working through conflicts. A lot of things that life coaches can help you with, right? All came up as my passion areas in human resources. And eventually I got the opportunity to make a graceful exit with the company, which was a blessing. And I decided to go for it and start my coaching practice. I was at the end of my certification process and I launched in March this year and I'm loving it. It all stemmed from my own self-discovery work. And it was to me, a long process to get there because I knew at 19 I wanted to do it and I couldn't start until I was 25. So it was like, oh my gosh, I want to start this thing so bad. But we had those few years where I had to go through my own transition. And now that I've been through it, I'm like, oh yeah, there's a lot that can happen. Let's talk about that.
The hurry up and wait. Ugh.
Yeah, it reminds me, I don't know the exact quote, it's not coming to me right now, but I've heard people say before, it's like when you know you really want something, something's really aligned with you, it really calls to you, and you can't do it tomorrow. It's so difficult to have to navigate life in the in between.
Yes. You talked about your HR career. Is there anything more that you want to talk about with that?
It was about 2.5 years I worked in HR, and I learned a lot. I graduated as a business major knowing that was the one area of like business typical I'd want to go into. And I thought, oh, it's just because you get to work with people. It's the people side of business. And I was very naive and didn't understand what that actually meant. And my 2.5 years taught me it's about leadership and management and people leaders and policies and procedures and legal obligations and accommodations. And you'd be surprised at how many adults act like children in the workplace and also how many adults are in people leadership positions who don't know how to talk to people or how to be compassionate for people. So there was a lot of growth for me as a leader trying to teach that to others, which was immensely helpful. But it came with a lot of pressure as well. I went through a very severe burnout. It was onset very quickly because I have people pleasing tendencies that I've been working on for since my teenage years. And that took the life out of me with that job. By the time I left the company, I had been in therapy for burnout recovery for about 4 months already because it was so unbearable. So I put extra pressure on myself outside of what was already on my plate from the workplace. It taught me a lot. And I was actually able to turn that experience now that I'm out of the burnout and out of the recovery, thankfully. Shout out to my amazing therapist for that. But I was able to take that experience recently and do a workshop with a bunch of young women at my alma mater and teach them about setting boundaries in the workplace. How do you say no in the workplace? Generational differences in the workplace can also make us as women sometimes feel a little bit too small, like we can't speak up. And we got to have that dialogue together in a safe space. And just, I've already had a few of them reach out and, they want to join some programs of mine or just talk. And it's been so great to see how my traumatic experience became a really good learning lesson that I could share with people and say, I don't want this for you. And here's what I've learned through my experience, but also researching online all the things and all the studies that are out there so that you don't have to, like, you need to take care of yourself. You need to set boundaries. You have to learn how to set no, create a support group, all the things that can get you through a really tough work environment and help you to understand how to build a good work-life balance because they don't teach you that in school. And it's not something I think parents are always equipped to teach you either. It's so easy for us to just say, well, that's life and I'm here for you. Even with friends, we can do the same thing. Since I'm not a parent yet, I won't take that. But it's very easy for us to just be like, oh, that's it, that's how it goes. And dismiss someone's experience rather than saying, let me help you through that. Let me help you avoid some of those same burdens that I had to carry. So it was a great experience in terms of I learned and I grew as a person. But at the time, it was really rough on me and my relationships and my friendships. So don't regret any of it. I'm glad I've been able to turn that into a workshop to help the women who are coming up behind me. But yeah, HR is a good career if you are very patient with people and you have a passion for it.
And boundaries, it sounds like really good boundaries.
Ooh, very good boundaries are needed. Yes.
I'm actually surprised how many are coming from HR and wanting to transition into life coaching. I don't know if you noticed that. Quite a few.
Yes, I've seen quite a few. I've actually talked to somebody this last week about that. She's in the same sphere.
Yeah. We talked on the phone before this, and you talked about what it's like for your mom letting go and the nest syndrome, and you wanted to talk about that a little bit. And I'm blundering my way through this, so I will let you take the stage.
No, it's all good. I'm a very observant person. I know my mom's listening to this, so shout out, Mom, and I love you. And I'm saying this with compassion for our shared experience. But I noticed as myself and my brother, he's 4 years older than me, that as we've gotten older and become more independent and graduated from college and we're figuring out our lives as young adults, I've watched her know it'd be a little bit difficult for her to transition with us and learn how to give us a little more space than she's used to for both my parents, really. And it came to a point, and this is one of the things I think we talked about previously that I wanted to share, where for me as a young person, I was like, oh my gosh, I don't want to hear their advice right now. I'm not calling because I want mom and dad to fix this or tell me to do. I'm calling just because I want to share with them. And when I had that realization, I thought, they don't know that. They're being parents. They're doing everything they feel that is right for them to support their child. As a young adult, it's now my turn to speak up and say, hey, I appreciate you and I love you and thank you for all this support. But right now, I really need you to listen. And learning how to have those conversations is something that has served, I'll say, my relationship specifically with my parents well as I've navigated my early 20s now, because I feel a lot more confident to approach them with a topic and say, hey, I really would like your advice or your input on this, or hey, can I share something with you? And we're in a space now where it's, hey, if I want to share something with you, we all have listening ears on, and vice versa, because my parents and I are close. If they're like, oh, this thing's going on at home with our new kittens or with the refrigerator or whatever, we'll share. And it's just, I want to share, and sharing equals listening. But there are times now too where, as a young adult, I specifically say, I want your advice. Can you give me your input? And it's changed the way that I think we interact, and how I, as the younger and the child in the dynamic, am able to say, oh, I'm comfortable with a harder topic. Because I grew up in a household where my parents were always, you can tell us anything. But even in that space, sometimes as you're becoming more independent, there's still topics where anything, I can really talk to you about this. And that's the point that I wanted to make of just, I know I went through my own kind of mental space as a young person going, I can really talk to them about anything, but how do I approach the anything that I am scared to talk about with them? Because maybe I think I did something wrong. Maybe I'm placing shame on myself and I don't know how to talk about it with my parent, even though I really want to share with them because I know they have my back, or I know it'll make me feel better to share with somebody who makes me feel safe the way a parent does.
How do you start the conversation when I want advice or I just need to vent?
It's easy with my mom because my mom and I are so close. And it's truly for me, I'm very blunt. My mom, we're both very straight to the point people. I can call her and say, hey mom, I'm just calling for your advice. As simple and straightforward as that. If it's something more serious where I'm like, oh, I don't know how I'm going to be received by her, or I'm just nervous in general to share about this with her or with anybody, those are the times where I sit and I think about it. And the way that I have found comforting for me as the child in the dynamic is just to say, hey, mom, I've got something that I want to share with you. I would like to talk through it with you, but it's hard for me to bring it up. And in our dynamic, that's really helpful for her to go, oh, okay, this is really important to my daughter. And we can get into that I see you space. I don't know how else to describe it other than there's not an exchange of words beyond that says, hey, I see you, I hear you, let's talk about it. It's just, she gives me this motherly look of, okay, this is important to you, I see you. And then it's usually just a, hey, okay, what's on your mind? And she just lets me get it out and listen. And oftentimes I get her advice. Solicited or unsolicited, it doesn't matter. It's usually comforting just to be able to say, hey, mom, it's a serious thing and it's hard for me to talk about. So she knows, as my parent coming into the situation, I need you to listen and make this space really safe with me right now because this is such an uncomfortable topic. Um, and that's been the most helpful opening line.
I think it's also not just I see you, but okay, my task list, everything else is out of my mind. You are my focus right now. I like that. What advice, because this is something that we also talked about on the phone, would you give moms who are about to become empty nesters or are empty nesters to help them release?
The first thing that comes to my mind is trust yourself and trust your children. Trust yourself that you did everything you could within your power to raise a good human being, that they're going to go through their own learning journey just the same way that you did, but trust that you've done everything you can to be the parent who supports them and will still be able to support them in a new way as they go on their journey. But also trust your kid. I think a lot of times that's where it gets a little unsettling maybe for the child is I feel like maybe they don't trust me with this thing, or maybe they raised their eyebrow in a funny way at me and now I'm overthinking everything I just said to my parent in that conversation, when in reality mom and dad are looking out for you, or whoever your guardian is. They're looking out for your best interests. They've got the experience. And so just being there to say, hey, I trust that you're going to make a decision with the best information you can, and I'm here when you need to talk about things. If things don't go the way you expected, that's been the most comforting thing my parents have done for me as I've gotten into my early 20s is I know that I always have a place to go. If I come home, almost every time I go home now, I get a text from my mom. Okay, the sheets are clean, your bed's ready, can't wait to see you. We'll save you some dinner, stuff like that. Just little things where I always know that I have a safe bed to come home to, a home to come to. My people are there even though I live a state away and I have a boyfriend and cats that I live with and a job and a business that I'm running and all these things, I can still come home and be a child for a day, for a night, for a week, however. And it's just trusting that you can create that still and that your child will appreciate it because trust me, I certainly do. I'll speak for the women out there who are like me. I love going home to see my parents, and they're like, "Yeah, let's take care of you." I'm like, "Woohoo! I can be not an adult for a couple hours. Let's do it."
I noticed that my mother-in-law, she's a stay-at-home mom, she suddenly didn't know what to do with it herself.
Mm.
And it took a couple years for her to really discover new callings in life, stuff like that. What advice do you have for mothers who are in that stage? Because you are so close to it, where I'm a little bit further away from that.
Yeah. I think honestly, it's the same advice I would give to a client who's in the school to workforce transition that I give. Just try new things. Be patient with yourself. And also, as somebody who does, I do have faith. Faith is a very strong value for me and backs me up. If that's something that supports you, lean into that. Trust, trust that you have that backing and just explore things. Don't put too much pressure on yourself either if something doesn't work out. I love to craft, for example. I can't tell you how many times I try a craft and it doesn't work out. And I'm like, okay, that's not the craft for me, but I can go back to this other thing. So we all have to find those things. And I would say too, and this is because I'm a life coach, but hiring somebody if you're feeling so lost and so stuck who is a life coach or life transition coach for empty nesters is a huge thing. I have connected with quite a few just through my own professional connections in the space, and it's incredible to see how they can use their experience, their wisdom, their coaching certifications and skills to help you navigate that. Because goodness knows, you get used to the same routine for so long, it's okay to cut yourself some slack and say, I need help figuring out what to do next. Just the same way your kid needs help figuring out what they're doing next.
You're figuring out life together, which is
We're
fun.
always all figuring it out, and it's always okay to ask for help or look for resources, even if, heaven forbid, maybe you can't afford somebody's services who you really want to work with. They might know somebody or know some resources that could help you. It never hurts to ask when you're rediscovering and exploring yourself at any stage in life.
And honestly, follow life coaches that you like because they give out free stuff. They're
Oh, yes.
constantly coming out with free content, and you can still learn from the free content. They make sure it's valuable. That's how you know if you want to work with a coach is you start to look at their free stuff. So
Yeah.
you'll still learn. And another thing that I thought about while you're talking is it's like how you want to keep maintaining your house so that if you suddenly need to sell it, it's a lot easier to do instead of, oh no, I have to redo everything and bring it all up to date. If you are keeping yourself up to date as a mom, as they're going through different life transitions, say all your kids are now in school, or you have just a couple left at home during the day, that's where I'm at.
Yeah.
You have a little more time, a little more space. You can develop yourself more in that space. That doesn't mean the time and space that you have is suddenly you're supposed to do more for your family. No, use that for you. And if you're
Yeah.
doing that and you're growing, then it's easier instead of you've been sacrificing all this time and suddenly you're an empty nester and you have totally lost your identity. You should be building up your identity during all of this, is really what came to mind. What is your ideal client?
Thank you for asking that. For me, young woman 18 and older who is struggling to find direction and purpose in her life. My clients are saying, I feel lost. I'm not sure what I want to do with my life. Or maybe, hey, I'm in a job right now, but it's definitely not my forever job. And I don't know how to figure out what that forever job is. Or maybe they want to know what life purpose is for them at that age and discovering that. That's the perfect client for me. I do a lot of self discovery work with my clients. We do lots of traditional coaching too, but many of them, so much of what they're seeking is guidance on a self discovery process. So if it's, I'm trying to figure out who I want to be, where I want to go, I am the coach who's going to help you discover your plan and support you while you get there.
That section of the learning lit me up the most. I was so excited for that. It's
Yeah.
so fun because if you had all the time and money in the world and you had no mental blocks of I can't do this, what would you do? It's just I love going there. It's so fun.
Oh, yeah. It is.
Okay, so tell us what you were up to coaching wise. Is there something that you're really excited about that you're doing, and then where we can follow you?
Yeah, I'm absolutely thrilled. I have a new free resource coming out. It is a free weekly support group for young women who are in the school to workforce transition, keeping in mind just all the topics of that we talked about through the podcast, setting boundaries and work-life balance, having hard conversations and self-care, creating a safe space where they can get together as peers and talk about those hard things. With me, there's a coach to guide them through those discussions. There's no goals, there's no deliverables other than just a space of support and being and understanding I'm not alone and knowing that they have that to come to every week whenever they feel like they need that little boost. Other than that, you can follow me on Instagram, which is at coaching to confidence 23. I do lots of updates and things there, but you can also find me on my website, which is www.coaching2confidence.com. If the support group is something you're interested in, or really any of my services, everything is linked on my website. It is linked on my Instagram as well. So very easy to find. Everything is titled by what the service is. And the links all take you to the appropriate places to RSVP because the support group itself is virtual. So you will have to register so that I can send the link over to you. So either way, Instagram or my website, they'll be listed with all the appropriate information for you to fill out so you can join us.
Is there anything else that you want to share as we wrap up?
No, thank you so much for allowing me to come and chat with you. I love listening to your podcasts. I learn things as somebody who's not a parent yet. So it's actually really fun for me.
Oh, good. I love that. I have another person who's not a parent who listens to it and says the same thing. So yay.
Yeah, there's always something to learn. So I love it.
The topics are still the same. They just apply a little different.
Yeah. Oh, yeah,
And
absolutely.
especially, it's not just moms, but there are plenty of women, men too, but I gear more towards women who just have a hard time setting the boundaries and they put themselves last. And then once you add kids to it, it's even worse.
Yeah.
And there's several who were really good about putting themselves first. And once you add kids to it, kids just change the dynamics.
Yeah.
You know,
I can
they have a
only
lot of
imagine.
needs because we all start out having so many needs and we should be learning independence. Not all adults do. Let's be
Yeah.
honest. It's the circle of life. We end up being needy and then having less needs. And then as we get older, we become needier all over again. Circle of
yeah.
life.
100%.
All right. Thank you. In the gentle hum of the holiday season, when the world is aglow with festive lights and the aroma of baked treats fills the air, many moms find themselves tirelessly pouring love into every corner of their homes, ensuring the joy and comfort of their families. But as the final notes of winter's lullabies fade, and the calendar page turns, revealing the fresh start that is January, it's crucial for every mom to pause and reflect. As the new year unfurls, I invite you to join us on January 8th for a transformative podcast episode, all about how to keep from putting yourself last. Let this be your New Year's challenge, to find that delicate balance where self-care doesn't get lost in the shuffle of daily responsibilities. After dedicating so much of yourself during the holiday season, isn't it time you prioritize your own well-being? Tune in, subscribe, and embark on this journey with us to ensure you don't miss out on this essential conversation. Let's make 2024 the year where you find yourself standing tall, not just for others, but for the beautiful soul that you are. Thank you for joining us on this week's Refreshing Wellness discussion. I am Autumn Carter, your guide through the seasons of motherhood, and I hope you found inspiration and valuable insights during our time together. If you resonated with the topics we explored today and want to continue your wellness journey, I invite you to follow me on Instagram at Mom's Wellness in every season. There you'll discover a wealth of ongoing wellness tips specifically curated for moms like you. Sharing our podcast with others is an act of caring, and I invite you to spread the word by sharing, subscribing, and leaving a review wherever you enjoy your podcast. Your support is deeply valuable to us and enables us to reach more mothers who are seeking transformation and empowerment. If you have a specific topic you'd like us to cover in more detail, or if you're interested in a free coaching consultation, don't hesitate to reach out. You can send me a direct message on Instagram or visit my website, wellnessinEverySeason.com, to send an email. I'm here to support you on your wellness journey. Thank you again for being part of our vibrant community. I am genuinely excited to connect with you, hear your stories, and continue this important discussion in the weeks to come. Until next time, remember to prioritize your well-being, embrace every season with grace, and always strive for wellness in every aspect of your motherhood journey. Take care, and I can't wait to catch up with you soon.